I handed my wife divorce papers in the VIP lounge of Ontario Airport at 6:47 a.m. on January 24th, exactly 11 minutes before her first-class flight to the Maldives, the 15,000 couples getaway I'd supposedly be joining her on, except she'd actually booked it for her and the man who'd been stealing from me for 2 years. If you've got some time and maybe something to drink, settle in. This is going to take a while. So, why did I wait 6 weeks after discovering the affair to confront her? Why the airport? Why did I freeze all our accounts, hire a private investigator, and coordinate a multi-person takedown that would destroy 2 lives in the span of 2 hours? Because this wasn't just about cheating. This was about $80,000 stolen from our accounts, a secret condo purchase, and a financial advisor who was supposed to protect us, but instead was planning his future with my wife using my money. This is the story of how I went from a trusting husband to someone who dismantled a decade of lies with the same methodical precision I used to build houses. And honestly, I'm still figuring out if I'm proud of that or haunted by it. Let me back up. My name is Robert Morrison, Rob to everyone who knows me. I'm 38 years old, and I've spent the last 12 years building Morrison Construction and Design from absolutely nothing. Started with a used truck, some borrowed tools, and my best friend Daniel as my partner. By 2024, we were pulling in solid money, employing 15 people, and had more work than we could handle. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. I worked for every dollar. I met Christine Williams in 2011 at a mutual friend's wedding. She was 26, sharp as hell, working as a real estate agent with big ambitions, and this confidence that just pulled me in. I was 28, covered in drywall dust half the time, but I guess she saw something in me. Or maybe she saw something she thought she could shape. I don't know anymore. We dated for 3 years before getting married in October 2014. Those early years were tight financially. Starting a business isn't cheap, and Christine's real estate income was inconsistent. But she helped with the business admin, kept the books organized, and it felt like we were building something together, like a real partnership. I remember one night in 2015, we were eating ramen on our tiny apartment couch because we'd put every spare dollar into equipment for the business. Christine looked at me and said, "We're going to make it, Rob. I believe in us." I believed her. God, I believed her completely. The business grew slowly at first, then picked up momentum. By 2017, we could afford to eat out occasionally. By 2018, we were actually comfortable, clearing about $180,000 a year in profit, split between Daniel and me. In 2019, we started house hunting. Christine had specific ideas. She wanted the planned community feel, the HOA, the neighbors who did block parties. I wanted something more modest, but she said, "We've worked so hard. We deserve this." So we bought the 4-bedroom in Riverside Meadows, $485,000. It stretched our budget, but Christine was adamant. I remember standing in the empty living room after closing, her hand in mine, thinking this was it. This was the life we'd worked for. She turned to me and said, "See? I told you we'd make it." Looking back, I wonder if she already saw the house as hers more than ours. If she was already thinking about what she could get in a divorce. We never had kids. Christine always said, "Not yet, career first." And I figured eventually meant eventually. I didn't push. I trusted her timeline because I trusted her completely. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I was. The years between 2020 and 2022 were good, or at least I thought they were. The business survived COVID, actually thrived because everyone suddenly wanted their homes renovated. I was working 60-hour weeks, barely home. But Christine seemed fine with it. She'd say her real estate business was struggling, and I'd cover more of the expenses without thinking twice. That's what you do when you love someone, right? You take care of them. In March 2022, Christine suggested we needed proper financial planning for retirement. Made sense. We were in our mid-30s, making good money. And I'd been handling our finances with the same sophistication I used to swing a hammer. She recommended this guy, Gregory Walsh, from Pinnacle Wealth Management. Said her friend Melissa swore by him. Our first meeting was at his office downtown. Gregory was 42, dressed like he'd stepped out of a finance commercial, expensive suit, firm handshake, confident smile. He made me feel like I'd finally made it, like I was successful enough to need a guy like him. He laid out retirement strategies, investment portfolios, tax optimization. It was impressive. I signed the papers, gave him power of attorney to manage our accounts. Christine insisted it would make things easier, and Gregory said it was standard. I didn't question it. Why would I? He was a professional. She was my wife. What I didn't notice, what I should have noticed, was that Christine insisted on having separate meetings with Gregory for her personal retirement accounts. I thought it was normal, responsible even. By summer 2022, Christine had changed. Nothing dramatic, just small things. She bought new clothes, nicer than usual. She started going to networking events 2 or 3 nights a week. She got a new phone, said her old one broke, and suddenly she was weirdly protective of it. Our sex life cooled off. When I'd reach for her at night, she'd say she was stressed about work. I told myself it was normal. Marriages evolve, right? People get busy. I was busy too, always at job sites, always chasing the next project. I let it slide. In September 2022, Christine brought up the idea of a big trip. We deserve it, she said. You work so hard. We never take time for us. She showed me pictures of the Maldives, crystal water, overwater bungalows, the kind of romantic escape you see in magazines. I agreed we'd go someday. Fast forward to November 2024. Christine came home one evening, practically glowing with excitement. I booked it, she said. The Maldives, late January. It's going to be perfect. I pulled up the confirmation email on her laptop. $15,000 total, charged to our joint account. My stomach dropped. That was a lot of money. But Christine was already talking about how we'd worked so hard, how we deserved this, how it would be good for our marriage. The guilt kicked in. I'd been working insane hours. Maybe we did need this. Okay, I said, let's do it. She kissed me, and for a moment, I felt like maybe things would be okay. Maybe this trip would fix whatever had been feeling off. The first week of December, she showed me the full itinerary, 5-star resort, excursions, couples massages. She'd thought of everything. There was just one weird detail. When I looked at the original booking confirmation, she'd reserved 2 separate rooms initially. When I asked about it, she laughed it off. Booking error. I already fixed it with the resort. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. December 8th, 2024. That's the day everything shattered. I came home early from a job site. Weather shut us down. Rare December rain in California. Christine's car was in the driveway, and I could hear the shower running upstairs. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, face up. It buzzed. A text notification. Property manager, can't wait for our week in paradise. I'll handle everything. My hands went cold. Christine didn't manage any properties. She'd never mentioned a property manager for anything we owned. I knew her passcode, 1024, our anniversary. I unlocked the phone. There was an app I didn't recognize. Signal. I opened it. The conversation under property manager went back months, hundreds of messages. I scrolled, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I can't stop thinking about this morning. When he's at work, I'm all yours. 2 more months and we can stop hiding. Photos. Intimate photos I'm not going to describe because even now, 2 years later, they make me sick. I heard the shower shut off upstairs. I put the phone back exactly where it was, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. When Christine came downstairs 10 minutes later in her bathrobe, I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. "Hey babe," she said, kissing my forehead. "Didn't expect you home so early." "Yeah," I managed. "Weather." She grabbed her phone and went to the living room. I sat there, numb, while my wife, the woman I'd loved for 13 years, texted her affair partner 10 feet away from me. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. I just kept replaying those messages in my head, trying to make sense of it, trying to figure out when it started, trying to understand how I'd missed it. December 10th, I called my sister Sarah. She's a nurse, 3 years younger than me, and she's always been the practical one in our family. I broke down on the phone. "Rob," she said, after I'd finished telling her everything, "you need to confront her." "I can't," I said. "Not yet. I need to know everything first." "What do you mean, everything?" "I mean, who is he? How long has this been going on? Is there more I don't know about?" Sarah was quiet for a moment. "You want to hire a private investigator?" "Yeah," I said. "I think I do." She gave me a name, Lisa Chen. a PI her friend had used during a custody case. On December 12th, I met Lisa at a coffee shop across town. I showed her screenshots I'd taken of the signal messages. I explained about the Maldives trip, about the weird booking with 2 rooms. "Rob," Lisa said gently, "I need to ask you something. Have you checked your finances recently?" "What do you mean?" "In cases of infidelity, especially long-term affairs, there's often financial infidelity too. Missing money, secret accounts, unexplained expenses. I felt like I'd been punched. No, we have a financial advisor. He handles most of it. I just check the balances occasionally." "When's the last time you checked?" "I don't know, a few months?" Lisa slid a notepad across the table. "Go home tonight. Pull every bank statement, every credit card statement, every transaction log you can find for the last 2 years. Bring them to me tomorrow." That night, after Christine went to bed, I locked myself in my home office and started digging. Our joint savings account. Last I'd checked, probably August, it had about $125,000. Now it showed $47,000. The business savings account, the one Daniel and I kept for emergencies and equipment purchases, should have been around $90,000. Balance, $21,000. I felt like I was going to throw up. I pulled up 2 years of transaction history and started going through it line by line. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely click the mouse. Large transfers out, consistent over months. Some went to something called CM Consulting LLC. I'd never heard of it. Others were cash withdrawals, $500 to $800 at a time, every week like clockwork. Venmo and Zelle payments to someone labeled GM in the memo line. I started making a spreadsheet. Every suspicious transaction, every withdrawal, every transfer. The dates started forming a pattern. Most happened when I was at job sites, working late, out of town for projects. By 3 a.m., I'd calculated roughly $80,000 missing, maybe more. I kept recounting, thinking I'd made a mistake. I hadn't. I sat there in that dark office, the blue light from my computer screen the only illumination, staring at the spreadsheet. Each row represented a choice she'd made, a lie she'd told, a piece of our future she'd stolen. The wedding photo on my desk mocked me, her in that white dress, me in my tuxedo, both of us smiling like we'd won the lottery. When had that woman become this stranger who saw me as nothing but a resource to exploit? I wanted to wake her up right then, wanted to drag her into this office and make her look at what she'd done. Instead, I sat there until the sun came up, documenting everything, screenshotting every transaction, building my case. When Christine came downstairs at 7 a.m., cheerful and oblivious, asking what I wanted for breakfast, I looked at her and felt nothing but cold rage. "Just coffee," I said. She kissed my forehead on her way to the kitchen. I had to stop myself from flinching. I sat there in the dark office, staring at the spreadsheet, and something broke inside me. This wasn't just cheating. She'd been systematically robbing me, robbing us, robbing Daniel, who'd built this business with me from nothing. I built everything with my hands, I thought. And she dismantled it with hers. December 22nd, Lisa gave me her initial report. We met at the same coffee shop. "The man's name is Gregory Walsh," she said, sliding a folder across the table. My vision went dark at the edges. "Our financial advisor, Gregory?" "Yes, I've confirmed they meet 2 to 3 times a week at the Riverside Marriott. He books the room on his corporate card. They have lunch regularly at the Grove. Those networking events your wife attends, I've cross-referenced them with his calendar. Every single one matches a hotel booking or restaurant reservation." She showed me photos, Christine and Gregory entering a hotel, kissing in a parking garage, holding hands at a restaurant, looking at each other like... I couldn't look anymore. I closed the folder. "How long?" I asked. "Based on hotel records and credit card data I was able to access legally, the affair appears to have started in April or May 2022, right after you became his clients. 2.5 years, almost 3 years of lies." "There's something else," Lisa said. She pulled out another document. "I did some digging into this CM Consulting LLC that keeps showing up in your transaction history. It's a shell company, registered to Christine Morrison in June 2022. She has a shell company? Looks like it. She's been funneling money from your joint account into it, then presumably moving it elsewhere. I can't access those records without a subpoena, but The pattern suggests she's been hiding assets. I felt sick. What else? Lisa hesitated. Gregory Walsh is married. Diane Walsh. They've been married 14 years. 2 kids. Of course he was married. Of course. I spent Christmas in a fog. Christine was cheerful, excited about the upcoming trip. We had dinner with my parents in Arizona. They'd retired there a year earlier. My mom asked if everything was okay. I said I was just tired from work. My dad looked at me like he knew I was lying, but he didn't push. On December 28th, I did something I'm not proud of. I waited until Christine went to a showing and I searched her home office. In a folder labeled 2025 Goals, I found it. A real estate listing for a condo in Newport Beach. $485,000. The page was covered in Christine's handwriting. Hearts, exclamation points, notes like ocean view and our dream. Underneath it, a handwritten note from Gregory on Pinnacle Wealth Management letterhead. Our place. Can't wait to start our life together. And at the bottom of the folder, a receipt. Down payment confirmation. $97,000. Escrow opened November 15th, 2024. I sat on the floor of her office, holding those papers, and everything clicked into place. The Maldives trip wasn't for us. It was her and Gregory's goodbye vacation before she destroyed my life. She was going to come back from that trip and file for divorce. She'd take half of everything, act like the marriage just didn't work out, and move into that condo with the man she'd been planning a future with while I worked 70-hour weeks to build ours. She'd use my money, our money, to fund her exit strategy. That's when something in me shifted. I stopped being the victim. I stopped being the broken husband sitting on the floor crying. I got cold, calculated. She wanted to play games? Fine. I'd play chess. December 31st, Christine wanted to go to her friend's New Year's Eve party. I said I was too tired. She went alone, or that's what she told me. I'm sure Gregory was there. I sat in our dark living room with every piece of evidence spread across the coffee table. PI report, bank statements, the condo paperwork, photos of them together, 2.5 years of lies, quantified and documented. I started writing her a letter, poured everything out. The pain, the betrayal, the rage, the love I still stupidly felt. 12 pages of everything I wanted to say to her. Then I burned it in the kitchen sink. Confronting her emotionally would accomplish nothing. She'd cry, apologize, manipulate, twist the narrative. She'd make herself the victim somehow. She'd been doing it for years, and I'd been letting her. No, if I was going to end this, it had to be clean, legal, and so airtight she couldn't spin her way out of it. At 3 a.m. on January 1st, 2025, I called Daniel. Rob, what's wrong? I told him everything. The affair, the stolen money, the shell company, the condo, all of it. Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm going to kill him. No, you're not. Rob, he stole from our business, from us. Let me handle this. Daniel, listen to me. I need you to help me protect the business. I need you to be my witness, but I need to do this the right way. We talked for 2 hours. By the end, Daniel had agreed to help me document everything business-related, to serve as a witness if needed, and to keep this between us until I was ready. What do you need from me right now? He asked. Just don't let me back down, I said. When this gets hard, and it's going to get hard, don't let me talk myself out of it. You got it, brother. January the 2nd, I met with Thomas Barrett, a divorce attorney Daniel's lawyer friend recommended. I brought everything. PI report, financial records, the condo paperwork, screenshots, photos. Thomas spent an hour reviewing it all. When he looked up, his expression was grim. Rob, this is fraud. Possibly embezzlement if we can prove she knowingly took funds from the business account without authorization. You have an extremely strong case. What are my options? California is a no-fault divorce state, meaning you don't need to prove infidelity to divorce. However, financial misconduct absolutely affects asset division. With this evidence, you should be able to keep the house, the business, and pursue restitution for the stolen funds. What about her? Based on what you've shown me, she'll be lucky to walk away with her personal belongings and her car. And if you want to pursue criminal charges for the embezzlement, that's an option too. We spent 3 hours laying out the strategy: immediate filing, asset freeze, forensic accounting. Serve her somewhere public where she couldn't make a scene or flee. Where do you want to serve her? Thomas asked. I thought about it. The airport, January 24th, right before her flight to the Maldives. Thomas raised an eyebrow. That's aggressive. She's been aggressive for 2.5 years. I'm just catching up. The retainer was $15,000. I paid it from the business emergency fund. Over the next 2 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. Cold, methodical. Every decision calculated for maximum impact. Thomas filed the divorce petition on January 9th. It included everything: asset disclosure requests, temporary restraining order on all joint accounts to prevent further theft, and a demand for reimbursement of dissipated funds. We attached a 47-page document detailing every financial irregularity. The judge granted the restraining order the same day. All joint accounts were frozen effective immediately. Christine had no idea yet. Thomas hired a forensic accountant, Beverly Kim. She spent a week tracing every dollar and came back with a report that made my original estimate look optimistic. $52,000 to CM Consulting LLC, $28,000 in direct transfers to Gregory, $97,000 for the condo down payment. Total, $177,000 in misappropriated funds over 2.5 years. Some of it came from joint accounts. Some came from the business account, which made it embezzlement. Meanwhile, Lisa continued her investigation, expanding to Gregory's life. She discovered he was indeed married to Diane Walsh, 14 years, 2 kids aged 8 and 11. He'd told Diane he was going to a financial conference in Miami the same week as the Maldives trip. Lisa also found that Pinnacle Wealth Management had strict ethics policies. Romantic or financial relationships with clients meant immediate termination and potential loss of his certified financial planner license. I had everything I needed to destroy both of them. January 18th, I finalized the execution plan with Thomas. It had to happen fast, coordinated across multiple locations. We sat in his conference room with a whiteboard, mapping it out like a military operation. Step 1. Serve Christine at the airport at 6:45 a.m. before her 7:30 a.m. flight. Linda, the process server, would hand her the papers in the VIP lounge, public enough for witnesses, private enough to avoid a massive scene. Lisa would photograph from a distance for documentation. Step 2. Simultaneously serve Gregory at his office. Marcus, another process server, would arrive at Pinnacle Wealth Management at 7:15 a.m., early enough that Gregory would be there, late enough that other employees would witness it. Maximum professional damage. Step 3. File a police report for embezzlement immediately after service. We had all the evidence ready: Beverly's forensic report, bank statements, shell company documentation. The goal wasn't necessarily to get Christine arrested, but to create an official record, make it real, make it serious. Step 4. Anonymous tip to Pinnacle Wealth Compliance with full evidence. Thomas had a journalist friend who would send it from a burner email. No connection to me. Totally legal and devastating for Gregory. Step 5. Lisa would contact Diane Walsh and provide her with the evidence. Not as me, as a PI doing her job. Clean, professional, giving this woman the truth her husband had stolen from her. Everything happens within 2 hours, Thomas said, before anyone can warn anyone else, before they can coordinate stories or hide assets or do damage control. I stared at the whiteboard. This is really happening. Rob, Thomas said, you can still back out. We can just file quietly, do a normal divorce, pursue the financial claims through court. This plan, it's aggressive. It's going to hurt people. They hurt me first, I said, for 2.5 years. I know, but once we do this, there's no taking it back. Christine's life will be destroyed. Gregory's career will be over. Diane's marriage will implode. Their kids... Gregory's kids deserve to know their father's a fraud, I interrupted. Diane deserves the truth. And Christine, she made her choices. Every hotel room, every stolen dollar, every lie. She chose this. Thomas nodded slowly. Okay, but I need you to be sure, because you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. I thought about that. Really thought about it. Would I regret this in 10 years? Would I lie awake wondering if I'd gone too far? Probably. But would I regret doing nothing, letting them walk away clean, letting Christine take half of everything she'd stolen, letting Gregory move on to his next client, Jow victim? Definitely. I'm sure, I said. Do it. Everything had to happen within a 2-hour window so no one could warn anyone else. I hired 2 process servers, Linda for Christine, Marcus for Gregory. Lisa would photograph the airport confrontation from a distance for documentation. Thomas would be on standby for any emergency legal motions. The night of January 23rd, Christine was buzzing with excitement. She'd been packing for days. I pretended to pack too. I'll meet you at the airport, I told her. I need to handle something at a job site first. She was annoyed, but agreed. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay next to my wife, this stranger, and watched her sleep peacefully. Tomorrow, her life would implode. Part of me felt sick about it. Part of me felt nothing at all. At 4 a.m., I got up, took a shower, and got dressed. I looked at my wedding ring for a long time. Then I took it off and put it in my nightstand drawer. I wrote 1 sentence in my journal. I built everything with my hands, and she dismantled it with hers, but she won't take the rubble with her. January 24th, 6 a.m. Christine arrived at Ontario Airport, checked her bags, sent me a text. Where are you? Flight boards in 45 misses. I replied, running late, go through security, I'll meet you at gate. She texted back an annoyed emoji and went through TSA. I was already there, sitting in the airport Starbucks with a clear view of the VIP lounge entrance. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking. I ordered a coffee I couldn't drink. At 6:35 a.m., Linda the process server walked into the lounge. I watched through the window. She approached Christine. Christine Morrison? Christine looked up from her phone, confused. Yes? Linda handed her a manila envelope. You've been served. Christine's face went through about 5 emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, fear, anger. She ripped open the envelope. I watched her read the first page, watched the color drain from her face. She grabbed her phone and started texting frantically. My phone buzzed. What the fuck is this? I stood up, took a breath, and walked into the lounge. She saw me immediately. Rob, what are you doing? What is this? I sat down across from her. Around us, other travelers were trying very hard to pretend they weren't watching. It's exactly what it says it is, I said quietly. Divorce papers. This is insane. You can't just... We can talk about this. We can figure this out. Christine. My voice was so calm, it surprised even me. I know about Gregory. I know about the money. I know about the condo. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I slid a second folder across the table. She opened it with shaking hands. PI photos of her and Gregory, bank statements with highlighted transactions, the condo paperwork with Gregory's note. You've been spying on me? She hissed. You've been stealing from me, from us, from Daniel. I don't know what you're talking about. $177,000, Christine. Over 2.5 years. I have forensic accounting. I have the shell company records. I have everything. She tried tears next. Rob, please, we can work this out. I made mistakes, but no. I cut her off. We're done. The accounts are frozen. Gregory's getting served at his office right now. And Diane Walsh, that's his wife, in case you forgot he's married, she's getting a phone call with all of this in about 10 minutes. Christine's face went white. You can't do this. You're ruining my life. Something in me snapped. I leaned forward. I'm ruining your life? You stole $80,000 of my money to build a life with another man. That Maldives trip, I paid for it. Your escape plan, I funded it. The condo you were going to move into, I bought it. You used me like an ATM while fucking our financial advisor in hotel rooms I was probably indirectly paying for through his fees. My voice was getting louder. People were definitely staring now. So no, Christine, I'm not ruining your life. You ruined it yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows. She was crying now, mascara running down her face. I hate you, she sobbed. You're a vindictive asshole. I stood up. No, I'm someone who built something real. You're someone who tried to tear it down. There's a difference. I started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Christine, your credit cards are frozen too. You can't afford this trip. Have a good flight. I walked out of that lounge and didn't look back. Behind me, I heard her scream something. I heard airport security approaching. Lisa was waiting outside the terminal. Got the photos, she said quietly. You okay? No, I said. But ask me again in a year. At 7:15 a.m., Marcus served Gregory at Pinnacle Wealth Management. Gregory's boss happened to be in the lobby when it happened. By 7:30, Gregory was suspended without pay pending internal investigation. At 7:30 a.m., Lisa called Diane Walsh. I wasn't there for that conversation, but Lisa told me later that Diane broke down when she saw the evidence. Her husband wasn't at a conference. He was supposed to be in the Maldives with another woman, funded by money he had helped steal from clients. By 8:00 a.m., I was sitting in my truck in the parking lot, shaking. Thomas texted me. It's done. She was served. Gregory was served. I texted back, okay. I blocked Christine's number, blocked her on all social media. Thomas had instructed me not to communicate with her at all. Everything goes through him now. I drove to the job site and sat in the parking lot for 30 minutes, just breathing. Finally, I broke down. Sitting alone in my truck, I cried harder than I'd ever cried in my life. Not because I missed her, because I'd loved her, because I'd given her everything and it still wasn't enough, because 10 years of my life had been built on lies. When I stopped crying, I felt hollow, empty, like everything inside me had been scooped out. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel satisfied. I just felt tired. The next few weeks were chaos. Christine returned home that afternoon to find the locks changed. Legal. Thomas had covered that. Her belongings were packed in boxes on the porch. She called Thomas's office screaming. His receptionist calmly said, all communication must be in writing. Christine stayed with her friend Melissa for 3 days before Melissa kicked her out after learning the full story. Christine burned through what little credit she had left, bouncing between cheap hotels. She tried to post on Facebook some vague status about betrayal and staying strong, trying to control the narrative. My sister Sarah screenshotted it and shared it with our family. She's trying to play victim. Gregory's life imploded even faster. Pinnacle Wealth suspended him immediately. An anonymous tip to the CFP board, not from me, I swear, maybe from Thomas, maybe from someone else, triggered an investigation. Gregory's license was under review. His clients, including Christine and me, got letters saying their accounts were being transferred to other advisors. Gregory lost his $180,000 a year job. Diane Walsh found out everything. Confronted Gregory when he came home. Kicked him out. Filed for divorce within days. She also contacted Pinnacle Wealth to cooperate with their investigation, which pretty much sealed Gregory's fate professionally. By early February, Gregory had lost his job, his wife, and access to his kids. He was living in a hotel, scrambling to find work, facing potential criminal charges for fiduciary violations. Christine's real estate broker called her in for a meeting. Small community. Word travels fast. He put her on leave pending resolution of the legal issues. She effectively lost her job. She had to cancel the condo purchase, forfeited the $97,000 down payment, which became evidence in the divorce proceedings. Our couple friends took sides. Most sided with me once they knew about the theft. Christine became increasingly isolated, and here's where it gets complicated. On February 7th, Christine called Sarah from an unknown number, begging to talk to me. Sarah said no. Christine broke down, hyperventilating, saying she'd lost everything. She couldn't do it. She couldn't. Sarah heard the panic in her voice. Do you need me to call someone for you? I just want him to know I'm sorry. I fucked up. I don't know what I was thinking. I lost my job. I lost my friends. I can't afford my apartment. My parents won't even talk to me. Rob took everything and I deserve it. But I can't breathe, Sarah. I can't do this. Sarah, to her credit, said, Then you should have thought about that before you stole from him. I know, Christine was sobbing now. I know, okay? I know what I did. But does he have any idea what this feels like? Does he care that you're what, Christine? Facing consequences? Yeah, he knows. He lived with your lies for 3 years. So no, I'm not giving you his number. I'm not helping you manipulate him again. Christine hung up. 2 hours later, Melissa, Christine's former friend, called Sarah. Christine had sent a series of texts. I can't do this anymore. Everyone hates me. Maybe they'd be better off without me. I'm sorry for everything. Melissa had called the police for a welfare check. They found Christine in a Motel 6 off the interstate, drunk, with a bottle of Ambien next to her on the nightstand. She'd poured them all out but hadn't taken them yet. Just sitting there, staring at them, crying. The officers placed her on a 72-hour psychiatric hold. When Sarah told me, I was at a job site, installing cabinets. I actually dropped my drill. Did she? No, Sarah said quickly. She didn't take anything. But Rob, she was close. The officers said if Melissa had called 10 minutes later. I sat down on a stack of lumber, head in my hands. Fuck. This isn't your fault, Sarah said. Isn't it? I designed this. I orchestrated her life falling apart. She orchestrated yours first, for years. That doesn't make me feel better, Sarah. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Christine at the airport, mascara running down her face. Christine reading those messages on her phone, her hands shaking. Christine in that motel room, staring at pills, deciding if life was worth living anymore. I'd wanted her to hurt. I'd wanted her to lose everything like I'd lost everything. And now she had, and all I felt was sick. When Sarah told me, I don't know what I felt. Guilt, anger, both. She's trying to manipulate sympathy, I said. This is what she does. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, did I push too hard? Did I do this to her? I talked to my therapist. I'd started seeing Dr. Rachel Kim in January, which was probably the smartest thing I did during this whole mess. In our next session, I told her everything. The psychiatric hold, the guilt, the confusion. You set boundaries and pursued legal remedies, Dr. Kim said carefully. Her choices led to consequences. That's not the same as causing her breakdown. But I knew it would hurt her, I said. I wanted it to hurt her. I planned it that way. The airport, the public humiliation, the timing, all of it was designed for maximum damage. And now? Do you still want that? I stared at my hands, at the calluses from years of construction work, at the wedding ring tan line that was finally fading. I don't know. I just feel tired and guilty and angry that I feel guilty because she doesn't deserve my guilt. She stole from me. She lied to me for years. She was going to destroy my life and skip off into the sunset with Gregory. So why do I feel like the bad guy? Dr. Kim leaned forward. Rob, you're experiencing something very common in situations like this. You're grieving multiple losses at once. The loss of your marriage, the loss of who you thought Christine was, the loss of the future you'd imagined. And now you're also grieving the loss of your own innocence in a sense. You did something you never thought you'd do. You hurt someone intentionally. So, I'm a bad person. No, you're a hurt person who responded to extreme betrayal with extreme measures. That doesn't make you bad. It makes you human. But it does mean you have to reckon with who you are now versus who you thought you were. I thought I was the guy who'd never hurt anyone, I said quietly. And now? Now I'm the guy who destroyed his ex-wife's life and watched her almost kill herself because of it. Dr. Kim was quiet for a moment. Christine made a choice to betray you repeatedly, for years. She made a choice to steal. She made a choice to plan a future with another man using your money. Those were her choices. Your choice was to seek legal recourse and ensure accountability. Her breakdown, that's on her, not you. It doesn't feel that way. I know. And that's actually a good sign, Rob. It means you haven't lost your empathy. But you can have empathy for her suffering while still maintaining that your response was justified. Both things can be true. I thought about that a lot in the weeks that followed. That night I wrote in my journal, I got what I wanted. She lost everything. So why don't I feel better? Gregory's fall continued. Diane's attorney discovered he'd been siphoning marital funds too, not just helping Christine steal from me. His divorce got uglier. By mid-February, the CFP board revoked his license permanently. He was unemployable in finance. His kids refused to see him. Last I heard, he's working some sales job, living in a studio apartment, paying alimony and child support, drowning in legal fees. The divorce proceedings moved forward. March 15th was our settlement hearing. Christine couldn't afford a lawyer and represented herself, which went about as well as you'd expect. The judge reviewed the evidence, all of it. Thomas was thorough, merciless really. Final ruling. I kept the house, the business, all business assets. Christine got her personal car and her belongings. She was ordered to repay $52,000 from the shell company over time. No spousal support due to financial misconduct. For the business embezzlement, Christine accepted a plea deal. Restitution, probation, no jail time, small mercy, I guess. April 30th, the divorce was finalized. I sat in that courtroom while the judge signed the decree. Christine was there, 20 feet away. I didn't look at her once. When it was over, I walked out into the California sunshine and felt relief, not triumph, just relief. By March, Morrison Construction was thriving again. Daniel and I hired a proper CFO to manage finances. A woman named Patricia, who'd worked in corporate finance for 20 years and took exactly zero shit from anyone. On her first day, she reviewed our books and said, "How the hell did you not notice $80,000 missing?" "I trusted the wrong people," I said. Patricia looked at me over her reading glasses. "That's going to change. From now on, you review every statement monthly, both of you, no exceptions." "Yes, ma'am." I took my first real vacation in years. 2 weeks in Montana, fly fishing with Daniel. We rented a cabin near Missoula, spent our days on the river, our nights drinking beer on the porch. We didn't talk about Christine or Gregory. We talked about life, about dreams we'd had before we got bogged down in routine, about what we wanted the next 10 years to look like. "You seem different," Daniel said one night. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you've been carrying something heavy and finally put it down." I thought about that. Maybe I have, or maybe I'm just learning to carry it better. When I got back, I started working 45-hour weeks instead of 60+, delegated more to my site managers, trusted my team, really trusted them, not just said I did. Funny thing, the business actually grew, 20% year over year. Turns out I'm a better manager when I'm not distracted by a dying marriage and barely sleeping. I kept going to therapy every week. Dr. Kim and I worked on trust issues, boundaries, recognizing red flags, rebuilding self-worth. She gave me homework, journaling exercises, communication practice, mindfulness stuff that I was skeptical about but actually helped. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected during the marriage, guys I'd gone to high school with, college buddies I'd lost touch with. We'd meet for beers, catch up on life, and slowly I remembered what it felt like to just be myself, without constantly managing someone else's emotions or worrying about saying the wrong thing. Sarah suggested I join this men's hiking group that meets every Saturday morning. At first, I thought it was ridiculous. I'm on job sites all week. I don't need more exercise. But she insisted, so I went once. Turned out to be 12 guys, ages 30 to 60, all going through or recovering from some kind of life transition. Divorces, career changes, health scares, loss. We'd hike for 2 hours, and people would just talk. No judgment, no advice unless you asked for it. Just honest conversation. I started going every week. I started cooking again, too. During the marriage, Christine had taken over the kitchen, said she enjoyed it, said I worked too hard to worry about dinner. Looking back, I think she liked controlling that aspect of our life. After the divorce, I rediscovered how much I loved experimenting with recipes, trying new techniques, the meditative quality of chopping vegetables and tending a pan. In April, I got Scout, golden retriever puppy, 8 weeks old, all paws and enthusiasm. I hadn't planned on getting a dog. Dogs are work, and I was barely keeping myself together. But Sarah sent me a photo from the shelter with the subject line, "This is your dog," and she was right. Scout became my companion through the hardest parts of recovery. When I'd wake up at 3 a.m. with anxiety, he'd be there. When I'd come home to an empty house that still felt haunted by Christine's presence, Scout would be waiting. Dogs don't care about your past. They just care about right now. It was the first time I'd lived alone in 10 years. First time in my adult life, really. I'd gone from college roommates to living with Christine. The silence was unsettling at first. Then it became peaceful. Then it became mine. In April, Diane Walsh reached out via LinkedIn. "Thank you for giving me the truth," she wrote. "I'm rebuilding too. If you ever want to talk to someone who understands, I'm here." We met for coffee on a Saturday afternoon at a place halfway between our towns. It was surreal, sitting across from the woman whose husband had destroyed both our lives. "How are your kids?" I asked. "Struggling," she said honestly. "Emma asks why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. Lucas won't talk about it at all. They're in therapy. It helps, but it's going to take time. I'm sorry, I said, for what that's worth. Don't be. You gave me information I needed. What I did with it was my choice. She stirred her coffee. Can I ask you something? Do you regret how you did it? The public aspect, the timing, all of it? I thought about that. Some days, yeah. When I heard Christine was in the hospital, I felt sick. But most days, no. Because they made calculated choices for years. Every lie was intentional. If I'd done it quietly, they would have controlled the narrative, made themselves the victims. Diane nodded. Gregory tried that, told our families I was being vindictive, that the PI photos were taken out of context. Then the financial records came out. Hard to spin embezzlement as a misunderstanding. How are you doing? Really? She smiled, but it was sad. Some days I'm okay. Some days I can't get out of bed. But I'm getting there. Started dating someone, actually. Nice guy, patient, no drama. It's terrifying, but also kind of exciting. We talked for 2 hours that day, compared war stories, shared coping strategies, laughed about the absurdity of being bonded through mutual betrayal. We didn't become best friends, but we kept in touch, occasional texts, check-ins when things got hard. There was something comforting about talking to someone who really understood, who didn't need me to explain why some days I was fine and other days I was furious all over again. Who got it? In June, my friend Marcus, one of the guys from the hiking group, mentioned his sister Emily was recently divorced and asked if I'd be interested in meeting her. My immediate reaction was no, hell no. I was nowhere near ready. But then I thought about Dr. Kim's words. At some point, you're going to have to choose between protecting yourself and living your life. Both are valid, but only one leads to growth. So I said yes. First date was at this casual Italian place in town. I arrived 15 minutes early because I was nervous as hell and needed to sit in my truck for a minute, breathing. Emily showed up right on time. 34, graphic designer, warm smile, nervous energy that matched mine. We sat down, ordered drinks, and for the first 5 minutes, we both just kind of stared at our menus. Okay, she finally said. This is awkward. Let's just address it. You're recently divorced. I'm recently divorced. We're both terrified, right? I laughed. Yeah, terrified. Good. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's just be honest. No games, no pretending we're not broken people trying to figure shit out. Sound good? Sounds perfect. We talked for 3 hours about our marriages, our divorces, what we'd learned, what we were afraid of. She told me about her ex-husband's gambling addiction, about finding out they were $60,000 in debt, about rebuilding her credit and her life from scratch. I told her about Christine and Gregory, about the affair, the theft, the airport confrontation. I half expected her to be horrified by how I'd handled it, but she just nodded. I get it, she said. People who haven't been through something like this, they think taking the high road is always the answer, but sometimes the high road is just another way of letting people walk all over you. We've been on 7 dates now. Coffee, dinner, a hiking trail Scout approved of, a concert downtown. I'm not ready to call it a relationship yet. Maybe she isn't either, but it's nice, easy. She doesn't expect me to be healed, and I don't expect her to fix me. Last week she met Scout. He loved her immediately, which I'm taking as a good sign. We sat on my back porch while Scout chased butterflies in the yard, and she said, "You know what I like about you? You're not trying to pretend the divorce didn't happen. You're not one of those guys who acts like everything's fine and then has a breakdown 6 months in." I had the breakdown already, I said. Several of them. See, honest. I appreciate that. Father's Day. I drove to Arizona to see my parents. My dad and I sat on his back porch with beers, watching the sunset. "How are you really doing?" he asked. "Better," I said. "Some days are hard, but I'm getting there." "I'm proud of you," he said. "You handled this with more grace than I would have. Didn't feel like grace. That's because you're a good man, Rob. Good men don't enjoy hurting people, even when they deserve it." I teared up. We hugged. I realized I was actually healing. Not healed, healing. There's a difference. So, where are they now? Christine lives in a small apartment across town. Works as an administrative assistant. Lost her real estate license. Pays restitution monthly. Lost most of her friends. She's in therapy from what I heard. Tried reaching out once via email, apologizing. Thomas advised me not to respond. I didn't. Last I heard, she's sober, working on herself. But alone? Gregory, divorced, broke, working some random sales job. Has supervised visitation with his kids twice a month. Studio apartment, CFP license permanently revoked, unemployable in finance. Heard through the grapevine that Diane's engaged to someone new. Gregory's bitter but powerless. And me? I'm sitting on my back porch right now with Scout asleep at my feet, watching the sunset. Thinking about everything. The marriage, the betrayal, the revenge, the aftermath. People ask if I regret how I handled it. If I'd do anything differently. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wishes I'd just walked away quietly. Taken the high road. Let karma do its thing. But the bigger part knows. She didn't just cheat. She stole. From me, from Daniel, from our future. She systematically dismantled everything I'd built while pretending to be my partner. And Gregory? He was supposed to protect our money, help us build a secure future. Instead, he used his position to prey on us. They made calculated choices for 2.5 years. Every hotel room, every stolen dollar, every lie was a choice. I just made calculated responses. I matched their energy, as the kids say. Here's what I learned, though. Revenge doesn't fix the hurt. It doesn't erase the betrayal. You can destroy someone's life, reclaim every dollar, expose every lie, and you'll still wake up at 3 a.m. sometimes, wondering what you did wrong, wondering if you were ever really loved, or if it was all just convenient until it wasn't. But revenge can give you back something else. Power, agency, the ability to say, you don't get to just walk away from what you did. Was it worth it? Ask me in 5 years, maybe 10. Right now, I'm just focused on building a life that's mine. A life where I choose who I trust, where I recognize red flags instead of ignoring them, where I'm not so desperate to believe in forever that I miss the signs it's already over. I built everything with my hands. She dismantled it with hers. But in the end, I'm still here, still building. And maybe that's the real revenge, surviving, thriving, and never letting anyone steal your foundation again. Scout's awake now, nudging my hand for a walk. Emily's texting to confirm dinner this weekend. Daniel just sent me a photo from today's job site. New project, big one. Life moves forward, whether you're ready or not. I think I'm ready now.